I saw in the stories, man. I saw young Spike Lewis posted up.
Yeah, man. I went home this weekend. Got to get to find some old pictures with Mom Dukes and shit. I seen
That's
as you seen, like I told you, my mom was the mom. Was like
he
I
said,
had to
as you seen.
had to hit a nigga in his jaw about like for playing too much. Like, all right, bro, that's enough joking.
Yeah, man,
Yeah,
that's got to
like
be
that was
rough.
cool.
The young mom, you know what I'm saying,
Uh,
all that stuff. That's got to be just, hey, man, stop playing.
yeah, facts. It wasn't as bad because it wasn't. Well, that's funny that you say that. With adults as a little nigga, you like nigga shut up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
her co-workers or some shit like that, like trying to buddy up to you, like thinking it's going like, nigga, get the fuck away from you, bro. Like that used to happen.
Yeah.
Like coding, like my football coaches and shit, like little shit like that. But that was I took more offense to that than my friends. Cause like I was talking to my homeboy Dan today, shout out Dan, another co-author in book one. I was talking to him today, boy, because I went home over the weekend, which is why I seen those pictures. And it's just so fun to be with friends who you can like, it ain't like you can jab with. Like
Yeah.
it ain't serious, like, but they the only people that can joke with you like that.
Nah, that's
But
real.
it's still it make it worse if you try not to laugh, try to act like that's what make you like you gotta laugh with it. Like
Yeah.
those are the best friends to be around. I got to do that over the weekend when I was with my homeboy Scoop. Shout out to Scoops.
Shout out
We
to
went to go
Scoops,
watch
man.
some high school basketball, man, and got to see one of Nashville Metro teams win the state championship for Tennessee, which was dope.
That's dope.
One of my homeboys that I grew up with, his son was a star player on the team. So we went to go check that out. Went 2 days in a row. Just watching high school basketball was different. It felt good just to be in there and be in that element. Just it was so like at 40, you look at it and you like, bro, they don't realize it's probably gonna be some of the best times of their fucking life, bro.
Best time of your life,
They don't
man.
they don't even know it. Like a lot of
Mm-hmm.
them think it's gonna get better and it's gonna be different shit. And I ain't trying to be morbid or no shit like that. But as a 40-year-old man, I know I remember. I have the luxury of remembering what those days were like and
Nah,
seeing
that's go
them
ahead.
in it, like it was fire. It felt good to watch. You know what I'm saying? So
That's real, man. I understand. And it doesn't even mean that when you say the best days of your life, doesn't mean they're not going to be successful,
mm-mm.
right? It means that the innocence and just the freedom and just the lack of
Yeah, just
responsibility. All you got to do is just go out and just have fun, be with your peoples.
that game meaning so much to them, Rich. That
Mm-hmm.
was the refreshing part to watch. The refreshing part to watch at 40. Like, cause I
Mm-hmm.
remember those days playing football. Like, oh, this nigga, this the regional, whatever it may be, to get into the playoffs for us to win the conference or whatever it may be. How big that was, and then like you said, it don't mean that you ain't gonna see success later or not, whatever it may be. Some of those guys, well, at least one of those guys, I would hope would go to the NBA. My homeboy son, but
That's right.
just that's just like they don't understand how much that means because they kids. And as a
Yeah, they
40-year-old
don't.
man looking at their faces and seeing like, bro, they don't have any idea what they just did and all this shit. But it was between Hillsboro and I think Oak Ridge was the team. But the craziest thing about it,
I feel like Oak
Memphis
Ridge is
came.
where the T Higgins got to
I
Oak
may
Ridge.
I may have the team on. It's a school in Knoxville. But they played. We went 2 days in a row. We went Friday and Saturday because I got there Friday night. Bro, when I tell
Yeah,
you
yeah. T
there was
Higgins, man. Shout out to the
T Higgins was
Bengals,
there.
man. T Higgins to Oak Ridge. Yeah,
Really? He from
yeah.
Knoxville? I ain't know
Yeah.
that.
That'd be Oak Ridge, Tennessee.
Ah,
Is that
okay.
near
Damn, I ain't know
Knoxville?
that. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
Knoxville.
man.
That's
Yeah, he
yeah,
definitely from
same little
Tennessee. I
area.
knew that for sure. That's why
I had
every time
no
they'd go
idea.
back to play the Titans, it's always a homecoming for him. And he was a
Damn, I
five
did
star in
not know that.
basketball too. He was a 5 star in hoop.
Really? I had a good
Yeah, they
team, man.
told.
They had a nigga that was cold. It was hey Rich, it was one nigga named Raekwon Davis, I want to say.
It's one
I
of the
don't even
blackest
think he
names ever.
knew, bro. I don't even think he knew who he was named after because they was
Yeah,
calling the nigga Ray Ray. If my name Raekwon, you're not calling me Ray Ray, bro. Like
call me
that's not
Raekwon.
that's yeah, you call or Quan or something, but you're not calling me Ray Ray. But that part of Tennessee is more like white people, redneck shit like that. But hey, it was fun to watch, man. But I was gonna say Friday night, of course, it was the Final Four. Then Saturday night was the Final Two. But in the Final Four, there was a team from Memphis. I don't even know the name of the team from Memphis, but bro, you talking about like a HBCU, like it was some Memphis shit. These niggas came in there. These are the only school that had a band in the Final Four.
That's what I'm
And
talking
as
about.
as they prepping, nigga, they come in and HBCU style shake it. It was amazing to watch. And it's white folks in there, because remember they played Knoxville. I told you what they is. Oh, those white folks were amazed. They had their camera phones out, jaws dropped, like it was crazy to watch, bro. They were fascinated that a band, Majorettes, like Chili, all of them was on 10, bro. That shit was dope to watch. I didn't take no video of it because, I mean, we've seen it before, but I wish I had taken video of the white folks recording it. That shit would have been epic to see.
Indeed, man. Y'all hear the voices. Book 2, chapter 23. We're back at it, back again. Another week in the books. The legend Spike Lou. I'm Rich.
Thank you, brother.
Looking forward to today's episode, man. Having a conversation with you. I want to read a couple of the comments that we had on YouTube, but before I do, well, let me go ahead and read those, because I want to ask you a question since we were just talking about it. It's going to be more of a lighter episode, but you just remind me of something that is worth a conversation, or at least maybe a little bit of insight from you. So we'll get to that here in a second. But just going back to chapter 22, we had a couple comments from the Frequency podcast. Shout out to Portia.
Shout out to Portia, man. My girl.
Portia's going to be on next week's episode, chapter 24.
Can't wait.
We'll tease that a little bit and what the conversation is going to be like at the end of this episode.
You know she's going to get at us, right?
Come on, man.
She don't agree with a lot of shit we've been saying, and she said. Shout out my girl, man.
Portia, Frequency podcast commented, Portia is always listening, LOL. The first 25 minutes is crazy work, LOL, all caps. Or maybe I'm crazy because hell nah, being too friendly will get you fucked up. So I think we know where Portia stands on that. I already knew that's where Portia stood, but
wait, being too friendly, like talking about the chef dude?
We're talking about the chef, yeah. Being too friendly get you fucked up.
That's funny.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll definitely have a conversation about that.
Yeah,
and then
an observation that I made. I know you don't want to be fucked up with Portia. You don't want to have her. You don't want to have her fucked up. I can tell.
Nah,
you don't want to have her fucked up.
Even for light shit, right? So
that's gonna be a long day for you. That's gonna be a long day if you got her fucked up.
Yeah, man. Portia's grown a lot too. If you've known Portia like years and years ago, like she tremendously. Like I really, really want to give her a shout out because she's grown a lot. But even I'll tell this quick story because it's not like incriminating or anything like that or anything bad. But I remember we went to the Legends of the Summer tour back when Jay-Z and Justin Timberlake. And if anybody went to that tour, you know it was probably 70% Justin Timberlake, 30% Jay-Z. And obviously we went for Jay-Z, but it was right when Magna Carta Holy Grail dropped and he did not perform Picasso Baby. And she was hot. She might still have that video. She might still have a video of her just going off about that nigga not performing Picasso Baby. But shout out to Portia, man. We're going to have her on next week. Looking forward to that conversation.
That's going to be fun.
We both got text messages, I believe, after, and we're going to hear from her. What's up?
Do we want to talk about the text message next week? Or we want to...
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it next week. Yeah, we'll definitely do it next week because come on, man. Yeah, we gotta have her there for that. And then Ja, shout out to co-author Ja, man. Ja was on. I forget what chapter he was on a few weeks ago. But he marked it at the 4:15 mark. He said, "Hey, Rich, what you doing with the shh emoji and the laughing emojis?" And I knew it in real time. I was giving away some free game. And I almost did it about the fire emojis and when we were talking about the chefs and the emojis in the comments, right? Yeah. Fire means you can get away with it, but the hard eyes you can't. He was like, "Come on, man, you gotta keep that on the hush." So now the women, when the women see the fire, they know what it is now. My bad, y'all. I ain't mean to do that. Man. Yeah. But so like I said, we're gonna have a somewhat lighter episode. Kind of similar to chapter 22 when we talked about just current events. But in true Another Week in the Books fashion, we're going to take these current events and a lot of them are some hypothetical things. They're things that the internet is running with, but they still will make for some fascinating conversation. So we'll get rolling.
Facts.
But before we do, and I want
And
to make sure. Go ahead.
in addition to those current events, I got something. Again, I got to go home over the weekend and got to hang out with like friends, friends. Not,
Yeah.
we talked about book one. That was a great episode where we talked about where like your secondary, not secondary friends is the wrong way to put it, but the friends that you meet post childhood or whatever it may be, post high school, and what they mean to you. But the day two and day one is how we describe it.
Absolutely.
Getting to hang out with, the first time in a long time, I got to hang out with like some day one high school friends, females, like and just and all of them were cool, and just getting to laugh with them. Man, I ain't laughed like that, bro. Maybe all year. It was really fun to do, but some came up in conversation with them that we're gonna bring up too. We ain't gonna do it now. We ain't gonna do it now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, bet.
But do
I'm looking
remind
forward
me.
to that.
Do remind me.
I got you. I'm gonna remind you right after this. I want to obviously, Spike. I know you're aware of this, and I'm sure most of our listeners are. Say So P, Memphis rapper. Say So P. He was with Sauce Walker this past weekend in Memphis and ended up getting murdered in broad daylight downtown Memphis. From what I understand, maybe right across from the FedEx Forum where the Memphis Grizzlies play. So this is not some, as they say, hood occurrence or whatever you want to call it. This was 2:00 in the afternoon. He's from Memphis. There were some videos beforehand. I'm not sure. There's a lot of speculation. We're not here for that part of it. As a Tennessean, I don't know how to say it.
That's it.
I know you're from Nashville. You're not from Memphis. I know those are two different places, probably two completely different places. I visited Nashville. Yeah, fair. Yeah. I visited Memphis one time in my life, and you always hear it's a wild place. Can you just describe? And we, like I said, it's not the conversation. I just want you to describe how is Memphis different? Like, describe that city. And we talked last week about checking in and hood politics and all that. And it seems like Memphis is just one of those places where get in, get out.
You better.
Is it that bad?
You better get in and get out. Yeah, absolutely. It's that bad. If you ain't listened to the On Deck TV podcast, we talked a little bit about this, and I gave some more insight on it as well. But I'll regurgitate another story that I told there. I've been to Memphis maybe 3 times. One of the times that I went, Beale Street is a popular street in Memphis, popular place.
Yep, that's where I've been there.
I'm not lying. So you know what Beale Street is like. It's like
exactly
New Orleans. I don't even know what's the name of the street in New Orleans. It's like that.
Bourbon. It's like Bourbon Street.
Bourbon Street.
Blocked off right there. Everybody walking in the middle. BB King's Club. You got food spots up and down the spot. People just drinking, having a good time. Absolutely.
So I'll tell you this. We were going to Beale Street. We parked maybe a block away. So you got to make a little walk to get to actual Beale Street. So this is adjacent, maybe a block over. I swear to you, for God, Rich, I seen 3 niggas hop out the van with choppers. 9:00 at night. It wasn't like late night. It wasn't no like, I don't know what was going on. It wasn't trying to find out. But niggas was like legit hopping out A-team style with the choppers in hand. And again, that's a popping place in Memphis. That's not like the hood. That ain't like you in whatever it may be. I don't know.
Tourist area.
Facts. And I don't know what they had going on. I wasn't trying to find out. But to answer your question, yes, Memphis is that. When we talk about LA, we talk about Detroit. Well, excuse me, we talk about specific parts of LA. You talk about Detroit. You talk about I don't even know what else would compare to Memphis. But Detroit and LA are the two of the places that first top off my head, because yes, it's like that for real. As a Tennessean,
Chicago in its heyday. I don't know if
Chicago in its heyday. Yeah, Chicago, New Orleans, Chicago. Yeah, those exactly. Baton Rouge, those type of places. It's not a joke or a stereotype when people say that. Like, even as Nashville niggas, rivalry is the wrong word. But there's such a difference between being in Tennessee, being a Nashville nigga, and being a Memphis nigga.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately, when you're a Nashville nigga, and this is because TSU is Tennessee State University, HBCU. A lot of Memphis people come there to go to school. So of course, most of those niggas is not, they ain't gangsters. Like I ain't, you know what I'm saying? That they niggas is they left Memphis to go to school 4 hours away at another HBCU in Tennessee.
Right.
With that being said, if you're a Nashville nigga and a nigga be like, oh, I'm from Memphis, your antennas are automatically up. Because you thinking, he got some type of chuck, some type of scam going on. Like that's just that's how Nashville niggas look at Memphis niggas. Now, I'm cool with some niggas from Memphis. Like there are legitimate stand-up niggas from Memphis, truly about their hustle, and I fuck with them. But there is a perception throughout the state of Tennessee. It ain't just Nashville niggas. I would assume that most niggas from whatever other major city in Nashville, Chattanooga, Knoxville, they view Memphis niggas as the same way. So to answer your question, yes, all that shit you see on First 48, all that shit you hear in the raps, like they really are about that. That's what they do. And that's the perception of them throughout Tennessee. I don't know what the equivalent to that is in Ohio. I'm assuming it's Cleveland niggas, but
no,
that's how it is. It's not?
Surprisingly, you want to know who would have that title? Youngstown.
Okay, that makes sense.
Cleveland,
but see,
Cincinnati,
here's the thing. Memphis is a bigger city, though.
Exactly.
Memphis is a bigger city. Memphis, we were under the impression, just being arrogant as Nashville niggas, that we the cream of the crop when it comes to black people from Tennessee. As I've gotten older and I understand the history of Memphis, I understand why the niggas carry themselves like they do. Memphis is a black city, like Atlanta, like Houston. Like it's a black ass city, and I understand why they carry themselves the way that they do, because they were able to be like niggas, black folks. That ain't really a thing in Tennessee if you want to be like next level successful. If you want to be a hood nigga, it's fine. We can be hood niggas all day in Nashville. Yeah, that ain't no problem for us. But you gotta have this other side to you to be more successful than a hood nigga. With Memphis niggas, that ain't the case. I could be a hood nigga all day. Like I'll never forget when a producer from Nashville, his name is Fades Wood, really popular there. We rolled up one time to holler at he was so popular that Yo Gotti used to use his speech.
Okay.
And we rolled up one time, we pulled up on Gotti at the studio, and he was just going over a nigga had a big ass checkbook that he wrote for the check out of, one that was so hilarious. But he had this house that he had transformed into a studio. The only thing that they did was record music in the studio upstairs. Production shit was downstairs. He was just going on and on about how much he was a 50 Cent fan. Oh, 50, brilliant. This was after Get Rich or Die Trying came out, probably right around when Massacre came out.
Okay.
And Yo Gotti was just like, oh, I love 50. That's my nigga. Like, I can't, like, he the smartest nigga in the game right now. I want to model my shit after him. This was a young Yo Gotti. And it's just always stuck with me.
Cocaine Music 2 or something like that?
Yeah, around that time.
Right before that, honestly, not because Cocaine Music 2 came out around
it was before
08,
Cocaine Music 2.
07, 08, yeah.
This was like Cocaine Music time.
Okay, gotcha.
Like the original one. And I never forget, some niggas try to be Hollywood, especially when me and AB was there. It's niggas that you don't know in the room. So you try to put on. Like, Yo Gotti didn't do that, though. It's like, I'm a Memphis nigga. Like, I'm telling y'all what it is. I've seen success. I know what success looked like. I know this was post Cash Money deal that Yo Gotti had. Like, this was after he had signed with Cash Money.
Yeah.
So it was always fascinating to me how open and talkative that he was, not standoffish in the sense of like, who are these niggas? Why they here? It was like, y'all nigga, have a seat. Like, nigga, actually, I was just talking about this. What y'all think about it? And it always struck me as like, these niggas, like, it was always a positive feeling that I got from them. I'll say that.
That's interesting, man. Appreciate you breaking that down, knowing that you're from Tennessee. Because I was like, man, I saw the comments that
You
took
can't play around.
place
Yeah, you can't play around in Memphis,
online.
bro.
Yeah, and it's not like that's a new thing, broad daylight thing. I think it was an FBG Duck in Chicago, like in one Ricky
Yeah.
Pearsall in San Francisco, like these high-end places, like with luxury stores, people getting gunned down. And like I said, you've been to Memphis, done downtown across from FedEx. First of all, Memphis downtown isn't that big.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like it's one of those skyscraper cities. You know, it's a larger city, but it's not one of those. It's country. It's Memphis. It's black. It's like not saying obviously, but yeah, I don't know, man. That's kind of crazy. But I was just curious about that. That's one of those things.
Yeah, it's not lure. That's real. Like you have to be on your P's and Q's when you're in Memphis. Like not gonna
Yeah,
play with you.
man.
Like
Before we,
nobody up there gives a fuck about who you are.
that's wild, man.
And I think
Before we,
that's
go ahead, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I think that's part of the problem that Sauce Walker had. Like I've never been to Houston, but my perception of it is different. Like the
Yeah,
way that they move is like what you just mentioned with FBG Duck in Chicago and even Pearsall. It I feel like that's different in Houston. They ain't doing that there.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? There's a respect for certain places. I feel like in New Orleans, in Memphis, in the Bay, like it don't matter. In Chicago, it don't matter, bro. If it's
yeah,
time,
man.
it's time.
And I guess the reason I even was curious about it, like I said, it comes off the heels of what we talked about last week. And I don't know. I guess you can become numb when you see it on TV. Like rappers getting murdered, unfortunately, is especially if it's not a well-known rapper. It's kind of like, damn, that's messed up, and then people just go about their day when they you don't realize, like, yo, this is bright. Like this was a hit. Like this was a walking them down the whole nine. It's just one of those things. I'm like, man, I don't want people to normalize stuff like that, right? You talk about three niggas coming out with the choppers, like that's not normal,
In the middle of the
right?
day.
In the middle of the day or middle of the evening, like you said, it's not 4 a.m. or some shit. Like sometimes, all right, so you'll get alerts to Cincinnati, somebody got shot downtown, but usually it's like 2:33 in the morning. Every now and then you get some like where people are actually out, but um, I don't know, man. That's just that's crazy. That's crazy, man. So prayers to the family. I know there's a lot of other speculation and rumors and conspiracy theories. We're not going to get into that here. But that is just a wild thing just to kind of witness and just as we talk about accountability and we talk about just growing, not as men, but as black men as well, just the trauma that goes with a lot of stuff like that you don't even realize maybe going on at the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't
And
even
it's
realize
to
it,
your
but just
point.
imagine if you're down there and then you just walking, like it's a regular day and you're just walking downtown. Next thing you know, you hear the shots ring out and then you see bodies on the ground. Somebody's dead right in front of you. Like that's just kind of
Yep.
crazy.
And to your point,
Um,
Nashville is similar to Cincinnati. Like
yeah,
that's not happening downtown in the middle of the day.
right.
Like niggas not that egregious in Nash. Like your outskirts, it might happen at 2 p.m. That's fine. Projects, yeah, it's gonna happen probably over there at 2
Yeah,
p.m. But you talking about it downtown at a nice hotel at 2 o'clock? Nah, not Nashville.
right,
And that's
right.
the difference. But like you said, that's the difference. Like you say Youngstown?
Yeah, Youngstown, small city. Like I'm gonna think about Gary. Think of Gary, Indiana. Small
Okay.
city, not far from a larger city. So Gary's not far from
Yeah.
Chicago. Youngstown's not far from Cleveland. Um, it's
That
just,
would
I
be
think it's
like
about
Jackson.
the per
That would
capita
be like
type shit.
Jackson in Tennessee. Jackson
Yeah,
right outside of Memphis, about an hour away from 2 hours away from Nashville.
yeah.
So it would be like that. Yeah.
All right, man. We're gonna lighten things up now. Congressman Jackie Crockett. Are you familiar with her, Spike Lou?
That's my girl. I fucks
Are you
with her.
familiar with her being in hot water right now for comments that she made about Texas Governor Greg Abbott? I want to get your thoughts on this. Are you familiar with what's going on? I'm sure you are.
Call them Hot Wheels.
Yeah, Governor Hot Wheels. Oh, see, we, we
Now,
already getting off to a fucked up start here.
the- for the people that are listening that don't know that to
Yeah,
understand, what's his name?
Greg
Abbott.
Abbott. Yeah,
Yeah.
Governor Greg Abbott.
A tree fell on this nigga and he's been paralyzed for like 40 years or some shit like that.
A
So in a
long time.
wheelchair.
Yeah, he was jogging. I got
A tree
there's a
fell
lot
on
of
this
things I can
nigga.
say
Yeah,
right now. Yeah, that I'm
yeah.
not gonna say.
A tree fell on this nigga, and he been in a wheelchair for 40 years, and she called
Mm-hmm.
him Governor Hot Wheels.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, bro, I feel like, man, if the other side got Trump and he able to get away with the shit that he get away with, then why can't she do it, man?
All right.
I'm gonna lean toward them being hating them hating on black women, bro. Like when it's a black woman saying it, it's different. Now when she stooped down to y'all level, now, oh man, that's too far. Like, man, fuck.
Hold on, Spike. Hold on for a second. Hold on real quick so we can set it up properly.
Oh shit.
All right, just so for y'all who don't know, Spike told you
Oh
about
God.
Governor Greg Abbott. I forget what year it was, man, but he's been in a wheelchair for quite
It's
some
been
time.
40 years. It's
If
been
you do
40
not
years.
know Greg Abbott, man, he is from all accounts, we don't know him personally, but from all accounts, he's a terrible, awful human being. Um, been the governor of Texas for quite some time. We're not getting to get into all the stats about, I think they're like 41st, 43rd in education as a state and all these other things. But one of the things that he has been known for recently was the migrants, transferring migrants, literally packing up migrants and busing them to New York, flying them to these different cities, like these blue states. He is a Republican.
Like, I
Um,
ain't gonna deal with him. Y'all deal with him.
yeah, y'all deal with them. Like, do y'all want to, be lax on the border crisis and let people in and stuff like that? All right, cool. We just send them where you at. Like, so doing things like that. Jasmine Crockett, Representative Jasmine Crockett, had said that she was not referring to his disability when she called him Hot Wheels. She said she wasn't thinking about the governor's condition. I was thinking about the planes, trains, and automobiles he used to transfer migrants into communities led by Black mayors, deliberately stoking tension and fear amongst the most vulnerable. Literally, the next line I said that he was a hot ass mess, referencing his terrible policy. She also added
That's
that the outrage was another distraction, going on to highlight Governor Abbott's policy of busing migrants who have been released from federal custody to other states. Instead of obsessing over and hanging on to my every word, maybe my political foes should focus on doing the work of the people who elected us to improve their lives. Um, at no point did I mention or allude to his condition, so I'm even more appalled that the very people who unequivocally support Trump, a man known for racially insensitive nicknames and mocking those with disabilities, are now outraged. So, to your point, Spike Lee, we all know the famous clip of Trump mocking a handicapped person with his face and his voice and his hands and everything like that. And the reason this is getting so much traction because there is we'll call it MAGA Twitter. MAGA Twitter is really on Congresswoman Jasmine's Crockett's ass, and everybody else is saying, "Whoa, like this you?" We talked about this a little bit last week. We're in this you culture. They're pulling up clips of Trump, some of the things he says, some of the things that MAGA followers say, and saying, "Yo, man, you can't throw a stone and hide your hand. You can't call the kettle black." Um, I just simply want to know: are you buying her explanation?
nope. But the pivot was good.
Pivot was incredible.
The pivot was amazing to say
Incredible.
I was blaming it on the other things with the planes, trains, and automobiles. That's fire. That's why she's in the position that she's in as a politician and making the waves that she makes because she's quick on her feet. She thinks well. I do commend that. However, the thing that I struggle with, Rich, is I guess what Michelle said at some point is you go low, we go high. I think that era is that's done. Ain't no more of that shit.
Shout
Ain't
out to
no
Portia
more like,
on her IG story today. She just mentioned how, hey man, cussing the
yeah,
motherfucker out is gonna get you the
I'm
results you
cussing
need.
motherfuckers out. Yeah, like I
Yeah,
fuck trying to be nice. Fuck trying to attract flies with honey. I like here go the
yeah,
shit,
bees
nigga.
with honey. Yeah,
I want the shit to you. So while I do respect her respecting her position and trying to clean it up, there's also another level of respect to standing on business.
Yeah.
I don't like sometimes you have to tell a motherfucker, like, yeah, nigga, that was disrespectful and I meant it.
Yeah.
Now, balls in your court. What you want to do? You feel froggy enough to jump? Or do you want to kill this right here because I just disrespect you? It don't matter to me because I'm willing to go wherever you want to take this. There's a certain level of respect for that, but me being a 40-year-old man, I know that ain't necessarily the route that you can take, especially when you're in a position like she's in. So I get her pivot. I get her trying to explain it in a different way. However, I wish that there was a side on the Democratic Party to be like, no, I'm standing on this, because I feel like the Republicans do that. I feel
Oh,
like that
100%.
they will be disrespectful and be like, nah, I'm not backing down. We see with Vance when he was talking to Zelensky in the White House. Like, nah, like I don't feel like I talked to him bad. While we're all looking at it like, oh, bro, you disrespected him. And he like, nah, fuck that. I wish, and I think, not to get too deep into politics, we can have this conversation on another day, but this is what the Democrats are lacking. They want to be
taking the words right out of my mouth. That's exactly what I was
they
going to say. They
want to be so buttoned up. Oh, I didn't mean it that way. Oh, I want to apologize. And like, nah, fuck that. Do like they do to y'all. And
That's why they
I think
control
the
everything.
Democrats are scared to do that. And exactly that's why they are in the majority right now. When I say they, I mean the Republicans.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. You took the words right out of my mouth. That's the one thing that I actually think that the Democratic Party needs, instead of like less celebrities and rappers and actors and all this other stuff, man. Just get somebody that's really gonna say, stand up to them, man. Bullies get bullied, man. Stand up to the bully, man. Say fuck y'all. Listen, however you need to say it. And I love the fact that she's not backing down. They're asking for they're demanding an apology. She said, fuck y'all. I'll put out a statement to explain what I said. That's all y'all getting out of me. I love it. I love it. Now, here's the thing, though, as I'm thinking about this in real time, and here's where the deeper conversation needs to come. And this is probably why she pivoted, Spike. The conversation needs to be had about, well, you and I have shared text messages, having conversations about, there's a handicapped person on Twitter who had social media in a storm. But one of the things that you would notice, and I'm not going to get into the whole details, but just know it includes not sex work, but sex parties. And this woman's pretty much displaying her sexual life, or a moment in her sexual life, where she went to a party and she posted the famous Barbie head with the hair messed up. And obviously, people had questions. But when you read a lot of the replies in the comments, there's a lot of people bashing her, man, for
hating
pretty much for being handicapped and having sex. Doing something normal people do, have sex. The only difference is she's handicapped, and kind of questioning it. And I wonder if Congresswoman,
I like how you tied that in.
Yeah, man. I try to do this professionally. I like how Congresswoman, or I wonder if Congresswoman Crockett maybe didn't take into account that, yes, as soon as we read the descriptions, like me and you both started laughing, because we get it. We get that kind of humor. It is what it is. It's all in fun. We don't mean nothing seriously by it. We're not trying to take away anybody's rights. We're not hoping that bad things happen to people, but that's just some funny shit, especially to someone who's been trying to bully people and doing some fuck shit. However, when you do say things like that, there are other people in that community that could be impacted and affected and take that in a much different way, right? It's no different than niggas at school telling your mama jokes and the one nigga say, man, my mama died. I don't play like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of one of those things where I didn't mean it like that, like your literal mom. This is just something that we do.
This is what we doing.
But you can't tell that to him, because he's like, nah, that's real pain for me. So I take that a certain way. You say that again, we're gonna have a problem. And this is an overall conversation. Really could be its own convo. We'll kind of put a pin in this, but I think a lot of times when we look at comedy, and a lot of the
Yep.
complaints people have about comedy is because it feels like things are censored and things are off limits. Do you think that's right? Do you think that she owes an explanation in that point to think about an entire community when she was talking about just one person?
I'm not the right person to ask that because I feel like fuck them. If you take offense, like I'm on the side of the comics. Like, bro, this is my job. I tell jokes. I know Jasmine Crockett's job isn't to tell jokes. However, she is in the climate of Donald Trump and what we've seen from the right wing and those people on that side. They not holding punches. Why do I have to? And I'm fine. Like that's my personality. Like, well, why do you get to do this shit and you think that I'm not you shooting at me and you think I'm not gonna shoot back? Like, what world we living in, bro? Like, I'm gonna do it every time. Like, you go low, I go to the floor. Like we can do this all day, my nigga, because you open the door to do that. However, again, like I said, I do respect her professionalism in changing the narrative of what she said because we know what she meant. Like, we black. Like,
Yeah.
come on, bro.
Yeah, we know what she meant. Yeah. The quiet, she
The
said the
hot,
quiet part out loud.
the Hot Wheels joke was the joke that we thought it was. It wasn't because of the planes, trains, and automobiles. That's not what it was. It was because, nigga, you rolling around, you rolling around here, my nigga, and he, you know, like, what's my nigga? You just watched the movie this year. What's my nigga name in It's a Wonderful Life? The nigga that was rolling around in the wheelchair. Like, come on, bro. Like, man, we don't fuck with you. And you rolling around in the wheelchair acting like you big shit. Like, I'm going to make a joke about that. That's what we do in the black communities. I don't care how you feel about it. And I know she can't say that, so that's why I'm saying it. I get why she backtracked. I totally understand it, but I do understand also the original premise of the, like, man, fuck you. Y'all been doing this shit to us for 8 years, maybe even longer. So yeah,
Since what do you
I'm
mean
cool.
forever? Yeah,
I'm
man.
cool.
Last points I'll
cool.
make on this. Yeah, the outrage is fake. We have to remember, and me personally, and listen, it's all about how you take things, how sensitive you are, how unsensitive you are. I get it, right? I think when it's a whole group, it's not all right. So somebody walk in the room and say, everybody in here a bitch. All right, man, go about your business, man. Because I don't take that. I'm not taking it that way. You're not talking about me. Whoever feels they a bitch and took it a certain way,
Even,
by all means, that's
like,
on them.
yeah,
Right? I don't care.
I don't even care.
You're not getting any reaction out of me for that because I don't identify as that, right? The same way she didn't call him out because he's in a wheelchair. She called him out because he's a terrible human. Right? He's a bad human. He's an awful human being. That's why she called him out. It had nothing to do. He got 2 legs, standing tall on it. I just thought about Scary Movie 2.
Look at
my bad.
look at Mitch McConnell. Look at Mitch McConnell. He got 2 legs.
Yeah, man. Shit. I laughed. Never mind. Let me stop. But yeah, man, that was a very individual response. It wasn't to the community. Now, had she come out and said everybody who's in a wheelchair is this, that, and the third, then that's different. But this was a very specific individual response. I'm not mad at her because you got to fight fire with fire, man. And we talked about this a few weeks ago. When it comes to black women, man, everything's on the table, man. She can say whatever she wants. Most disrespected person in America, hands down. So if she want to buck back or fire
this
back,
actually might get back. Yeah, this might get back.
Yeah,
as
like,
a black woman, that has made it to this position and dealt with the things that I have had to deal with, this is my get back. And if you think this is bad, wait till you see what I'm about to do to y'all niggas. That's what I hope it's about. But I know, unfortunately for her, she's not going to be able to get deeper into her bag, especially if she has aspirations of being like a president or a vice president.
Yeah.
I know she can't get into her real black woman bag, and that's what I want to see. I want to see someone like Jasmine running for president, being a real black woman, not the Michelle Obama. No knock to her, not the AOC. No knock to her. I want to see somebody like Jasmine who I identify with as like I got an auntie like her. I got a cousin like her. I got a sister like her. Like I want to see her rise through the ranks and deal with these white men like I know black women can. And I don't think they're gonna let her do it. And this goes to that premise of like she ain't gonna be able to run for president. Like I would love her to, but she ain't gonna be able to do it.
I will say this, like I said, before we move on to the next thing, pay attention to how everybody in that particular party is all united in what they feel should happen to Congresswoman Crockett.
Oh yeah, they probably have some
hopefully,
hearing or some shit. Yeah, she got to stand
yeah,
before
but
the
hopefully
polls.
the other side has her back the same way, right?
Yeah,
That's the one thing I will say. When shit goes down, you never really see too much. Never mind. I don't want to get too far into politics when it comes to this. Either way, we'll have a. I wanted to, and we'll do this one day. I want to have like someone who's really into politics, political science, all of that, and kind of discuss what's going on in our world in a real way, like economically, from our rights, not just black people, but just what's going on the day to day right now. Um,
that
as
would be a
Trump
great
has
chapter.
been in office for the first, you know what I mean, for the first 3 months,
You
like
got to
some of these
find that
the
person.
tariffs, everything else. We want somebody who really knows what they're talking about, and can really give us some education on just from a simple explain this like a 5-year-old. Here's what's going on right now. Here's what you should be doing in response to it. Everything else, because things are changing fast. And hopefully everybody's keeping up.
Yep. That would be a great chapter.
I got a question for you.
Okay.
LeBron James went on the Pat McAfee show today and gave, I believe, an hour, 15-minute interview. Obviously, if you follow LeBron James and Stephen A. Smith have been in a bit of a feud, I'd say, after LeBron confronted him over comments that Stephen A. Smith made about Bronny that LeBron felt were personal. And people were on kind of both sides of the fence. Some people were saying, hey, Stephen A. Smith is commenting on him as a basketball player, doesn't think Bronny's good, and not as a actual person. Other people are saying, well, if that's the case, why doesn't he give that same energy to the other people that were in the draft? There's the number one pick in the draft, or there's other people who are Reed Shepard, for example, who I think went third in the draft. Like he's averaging below par third overall pick numbers, right? Why aren't you talking more about that? It seems like you're picking on Bronny. So there's been some back and forth, obviously, and Stephen A. has been on his tour, kind of talking about he didn't want to address it, but he's been addressing it ever since. Allegedly, I don't know if this is true or not. Allegedly, Stephen A. Smith, and there were rumblings some years back about Stephen A. Smith and Pat McAfee having issues. Obviously, Stephen A. Smith is a big dog at ESPN, and felt with the growing popularity of the Pat McAfee show that maybe his spot would be threatened. A lot of attention and a lot of resources were put over there. Once again, this is alleged. I'm not saying this is the case. Stephen A. Smith even came out and said he's rooting for everyone on the on ESPN because it makes everyone better, which sounds like an A-Rod Jeter type of answer. I don't really fuck with him, but I'm not going to make it a big deal because we're all under the same house, right? Think Meek Mill and Wale for all them years. So it was always funny when they were MMG and Meek would lash out and shit like that. Scotty Beam, shout out to Scotty Beam, man. Scotty Beam posted. She posed the question of, well, I thought the Pivot was the show everybody wanted to go to. Why didn't LeBron go on the Pivot? And it's starting this conversation once again of should our cultural icons, our black stars, the people who mean the most to for the majority. Now, obviously not everyone, because this conversation took place with Kendrick, right? Kendrick dropped them diss records. We know Kendrick's quiet. The first time we heard from Kendrick was in a Harper's Bazaar interview. And a lot of people were saying, hey, why you ain't sitting down with $1 million worth of game? Not them in particular, but Drink Champs or one of these black outlets that could really have these conversations with you and ask cultural questions versus going to a Harper's Bazaar. No different than, hey, as soon as we get the money, Uncle Elroy's side, as soon as I got my check, I was gone. Like, why are we already going to this side? Why isn't LeBron sitting with black creators, black content creators for this type of interview? No different than people had an outrage when he did the show with JJ Redick, who is now his coach, right? Why don't you do that with a black? You got knuckleheads. You got all the smoke. You got a ton of people who probably know the game that would love to have this with you. Do you feel that's fair? That LeBron chooses, because once again, LeBron rarely does interviews in this form, that he's chose a format or a platform by a white host versus going to a black one. What are your thoughts on that?
I saw this today, and I didn't think that I was looking at the right. I thought it was old. I was like I was on my lunch break at work, went to go check out some TV, and I seen LeBron James with Pat McAfee. I was like, what? Wait, what? What?
Mm-hmm.
LeBron doing it? So it was surprising, but to I don't even want to say defense because that's the wrong word. They play in Indiana tonight, the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
Pat McAfee's show is based in Indiana.
Yeah.
So there is a lot to do with logistics of this.
Hold on real quick. I'm sorry, not to cut you off.
Okay.
The nigga lives in Los Angeles.
Yes.
There's always logistics for where he lives. He can go up the street.
But yeah, he can, but I'm in Indy tonight, and Stephen A been going on, quote, the Tyler Swift run. That's what LeBron said, not me.
The Taylor Swift tour.
Talking about him. I know who Pat McAfee is. I know the following that he has. I know how this is going to ring out when I talk to him. And LeBron is pretty astute when it comes to marketing and media. So I get this conversation with Pat McAfee. I get it.
You throw in the Stephen A. Smith aspects. Like if that really is true, I'm making a power play by going to your op. That's your own company to have this interview versus.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people were saying that was intentional.
LeBron has done it his whole career. He's done that with players. He's done that with organizations. He's done that with his son. That's what he do. Like, bro, I'm LeBron. I'm going to play the LeBron card every time. If y'all mad at me for it, I don't really give a fuck. I'm still LeBron. Do I, as a black creator, as someone who's in this field and would love for people like LeBron to come to us versus going to Pat McAfee? Yeah, I see that. I see the gripe with it. And I ain't mad at it. I ain't mad when someone like Scotty Beam says, well, bro, you could have did a pivot. And you didn't have to do it today. You could have did it when you got back to LA, when you got all them niggas together, and that would have been cool. Just like any other episode of the pivot. But what you decided to do was sit down with Pat McAfee and make it look like it was convenient because you were in Indianapolis specifically, because they play the Pacers tonight, which they're about to lose to. They down 119, 118 with 11 seconds though. That's neither here nor there. Stephen A. Smith, I'm indifferent about him. I don't love him. I don't hate him.
Mm-hmm.
I could see why LeBron would look at him and be like, I don't fuck with you. But I also look at LeBron like he is one of the more forward-leaning athletes in black culture that we have.
Mm-hmm.
So he has to understand what it looks like for him to go talk to Pat McAfee versus the pivot. I am athlete, if even that's still a thing. Or nigga, Joe Budden, fucking like $1 billion for game. Like I don't give a fuck who it is, but
tons of people.
Yeah, I go back to the Nori tweet or
Draymond
his
Green show.
Whatever. I go
man's.
back to those. Like Nori has said this the best. Like the Drink Champs is one of the biggest platforms that we have for Shay Club Shay. Like you could have waited.
I don't want to get started on Shay, man.
I get it. You're right. I don't disagree with you, but that is an option. I don't, if I'm LeBron and I know who I am, I can't go sit down with Pat McAfee, bro, and it not look away or me expect not to receive negative backlash about that. Because I fuck with Pat McAfee. I think his content is dope. However, there is this consciousness that we have to have as Black people to ensure that we are big upping our Black media outlets. Like, bro, don't go to TMZ when you can go to somewhere else that's Black focused and oriented.
Mhm.
Because when it shit hit the fan, they gonna be the people that are shitting on you because they're saying, "Oh, I'm just doing my job." They ain't gonna show you no leeway. And I know LeBron know that. He's media savvy enough to know that, yeah, bro, I can talk to Pat McAfee, but let's not put him first on the list. Let's put him third, fourth, fifth on the list. Let me go
That's where I
talk
see it.
to the pivot. Let me go talk to what Bomani. Let me go
Mhm.
talk to like anyone else. Even if I got a problem with Stephen A, there are people out there, nigga. God forbid you talk to Jason Whitlock. Like I know that's not the ideal situation, but God forbid you talk to him. But before you talk to Pat McAfee, please explore those options, bro.
Please talk to
And
Pat McAfee before you talk to Jason Whitlock, Brian. Don't ever talk to Jason Whitlock. I don't know what
I
the
just
fuck
think
somebody
that
talk about.
that's funny. I just think that it was a spur of the moment thing. He didn't really look into it enough as like culture versus I want to get my thoughts out. And
Yeah.
that's fine. I get it. You're a human being. I can't really judge you for that. But I do agree with the sentiment of the people out there who was like, well, bro, why'd you go there? I get it. But I also understand why he did it in the sense of like, okay, I'm here. This like we playing here tonight. He does his podcast here. A lot of people listen to him. He's ESPN's darling right now. I'm gonna go sit down, shit on Stephen A because I don't fuck with him. I don't want to go on first take. But there's other places that you could have went, bro.
Yeah, that was well said. Logistically, like you said, it made sense. I just think it was a lot of these things are the moment.
He
Did
just
have a
hit the
little bit
game
of
winner, by the way.
feeling. I know if I say they definitely won. I heard you talking. I feel like a lot of people, or not a lot of people, I feel like this could be looked at as, I believe President Obama had said, not just the president of Black America, I'm the president of America. I do think that it's easy to forget how impactful, how much of an icon LeBron is, because he's been around for so long, right? He's been around literally. I first heard about LeBron James when I was a uh, eighth grade, maybe eighth, ninth grade. I'm 38 years old now. Like he's been in our lives for so long. He's a global icon, more than just like a hood or black icon. I don't want to say hood, but a black icon. Um,
Culture.
yes, to the culture. However, he does speak for the culture a lot. And I wonder if part of it is maybe, hey, I prove every day that I'm giving back in a real way to the culture, to the people, um, to our community. Why do I have to even everything out? But I also feel like that's just part of the responsibility when you are somebody like LeBron James. I agree with you, man. I'm giving this to a look because I'll be honest. That conversation is a lot different with the black host. I feel like LeBron's a little bit more loose. I feel like he consciously has to watch what he says, even though he's allowed to cuss and all that other stuff on there. Um, I don't know if he's fully him. I don't know if any of us are fully our full black versions when we're in the room with white people. And I'm not saying we're not ourselves, but some people don't let
It's
nigga fly
different.
around white people because they don't want that to be a common thing and somebody feels comfortable saying it. Right? There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. It's just different, like you said.
Facts.
And it's a big look for a lot of these outlets when you have someone who doesn't do interviews and is arguably the greatest player of all time come on there and chop it up for an hour 15 minutes, right? And be authentic about it, right? Not a gimmick, just be authentic. I didn't watch a full interview or interview with Pat McAfee, so I'll take a look. I saw some clips, but I do think you said it perfectly. There should be a balance, right? I don't mind talking to them. I don't mind talking to Harper's Bazaar. I don't mind talking to, Rolling Stone magazine. I don't mind talking to all of these places, but I'm going to talk to Double XL. I'm going to talk to Vibe. I'm going to talk to The Source. I'm going to talk to all of these places first as well, right? You know what I mean? Being on GQ was cool, but I also do a black media as well. So
facts.
You would love to see it, but I'm not in outrage or up in arms. I don't know if a ton of people are up in arms, but I'm not bringing that conversation to the forefront. Hopefully he does some more interviews, and it could be. And like I said, I'm not caping for Brian because I don't really care or know. But part of me wonders if him having his own media company is a reason why he doesn't go to other media spaces. Because it's almost
That's
like
a
he'll
good
put
point.
it better. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's just he has uninterrupted. He has the shop. I guess I'm more so surprised he didn't do it on his own platform. But like you said, Pat McAfee is Pat McAfee, puts up numbers. That's like the sports equivalent right now, I feel, of somebody going on Joe Rogan at a much smaller scale because Joe Rogan has like the biggest podcast ever
Facts.
in history. Like, and not even like you could take the next 10 podcasts and they probably wouldn't even combine.
Still won't add up to
Joe
Rogan
Rogan.
numbers.
Yeah, I don't like it's otherworldly. Either way, interesting conversation that I wanted to have. But I want to ask you, let's take a pivot. No pun intended. You said you were back home.
Yep.
And you were privy to a conversation. I have no idea what this is about. I'm gonna go ahead and hand it over to you, Spike Lou.
As a single black man, I think you will be interested in this conversation.
Okay.
I've had this thought on my mind for a while, Rich, as far as just like
We gonna get a text from Portia after this segment?
probably. And
All
this is something that will lead over into next week when we have wrong.
All right.
The status of relationships in general, right? I don't want to speak for you. I'm single. You single? I don't want to call you out.
That's the way you said it. Yeah, I'm single, bro. I'm single.
Yeah, but like, so
I about to say depends on who you ask, but nah, let me stop. I'm single.
yeah, that's funny. That's funny as hell. Great answer, actually, by the way. So being a single black man, I don't get a lot of feedback that tells me you should be pursuing or want to be in a relationship. It ain't a lot of good news out there. I don't know if you're aware of it. I don't know if you're getting the same feedback that I am, but nobody that I know is like, oh man, I'm so in love with my partner, my wife, my husband, that I don't wish it was any other way. Like this is what it is. You should do this. As soon as you can, Spike Lou, find you a girl because you're going to be happy. I ain't heard nobody saying that, right?
Yeah.
And this is going to be a couple of episode conversations, so we ain't got to get to the bottom of it here.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to say this without putting my home girl on the spot. I'm sure she don't even listen to this because she ain't really a big podcast fan, even though she wants to do one. But she said something that was interesting to me, and even talking to people in my family while I was there, and they bringing up their relationships, it didn't sound like they were like, "Oh, this is the thing to do." And even though I can admit being a single black man it's cool. I ain't got no problem with it. Like a couple weekends ago, I had a great weekend. Nigga, I went to go play golf, eat by myself, went to a movie. It was fine. I ain't had to call and check in with nobody. It was dope. Like cool. Like I had no problem with that. And I'm listening to people in relationships, Rich, and the more and more I listen to them, it's like, why the fuck would I want to do that? Even one of my homegirls, like I said, I went to a kickback with people, a couple of people from high school. I had a homegirl. She got a child that's in college, 20 years old, but she also has a newborn, like 2-3 years old. And she said,
Surprise.
yeah, right, exactly.
Right.
Same dad, the same dad, I think, too, which is insane.
Same block.
But she said, right. She said to me, she was like, you don't plan on getting married or having kids? I was like, it ain't looking good. Like, I ain't no, I ain't really heard nothing. I ain't sold yet. And this is the joke. They try to hide it as a joke, but they really being for real. That most married people or people with kids say to you, that's like, don't do it.
Yeah.
Bro, if I could count, not even count, like most of the people that I know that are married, they're like, nah, don't, bro, enjoy. I just had a weekend out with my homeboy Sam 2 weeks ago down here in Atlanta. He was like, bro, I got 2 kids. Like, I look at you and like you're the envy of my life. Like, nigga, you ain't got no kids, you ain't got a girl you gotta answer to. You can go do whatever the fuck you want to. Like, that's amazing to me. And I'm like, damn, all of these people in relationships and they don't like being in them. How does that work? Like, it never, like, it don't, I don't understand it genuinely. And even having conversations with people like older people, bro. Like, I'm talking about aunties, moms. Like, I'm listening to my mom talk about her husband. I'm like, is that like yeah, I'm saying, if y'all see my face on YouTube, it ain't audible if you just listening to this in the audio version. But I was like, bro, why the fuck would I ever want to do that?
Yeah.
So, long story short, my homegirl was talking. We was all lit by this point. She's been married to her husband for about 10 years, Rich. And do I want to say not not it seems
Look at your face.
not it seems like, but it's apparent that there have been some infidelities in this relationship, right?
Yeah.
We are all close enough friends to where she felt like that she can say what's been on her mind about her relationship and not get any negative feedback, but just get some real feedback. And I'm wondering, if you heard this, what would you say as a partner? But she was like, I've been with my husband for 10 years. I love my family. I don't want it to end. However, I want to see other people. I don't want my relationship to end. I don't want that to be like, I like doing this, but essentially, and I'm putting it in my words, not hers now, I've been with this nigga for 10 years and like he's gotten away with cheating and I forgave him. Like, why can't I get my piece? And that blew my mind, bro. And I'm like, people in relationships are dealing with it. And I asked her, I was like, well, why don't you just tell him, man? She was like, bro, he not going for that. Like, I can't, she was like, I can't go to my husband and tell him that I want to like sleep with other people. And I said, well, okay, well, why? Because you think that he will sleep with other people too, or do you think he'll judge you? And she was like, a little bit of both.
I don't think she gives a fuck about that nigga judging her, from what it sounds like.
You don't? I think she do though. Because if you've gotten caught and your bitch come to you and she like, you know what, I love you and we can keep this thing going. We got kids or whatever it may be. But like, I want to get out there. I want to explore what it's like to be like, I won't even say single, but just to have relationships.
To be in one of them parties with old girl from
one of the wheelchair parties. I want to do that.
Hold on, man. It was a sex party. It wasn't just a wheelchair party.
Bro, I'm wondering what, because I'm legit trying to tell her. I was like, what? I told her, Rich, I was like, maybe you should tell the nigga. And she was like, nigga, is you crazy?
Yeah,
But
you
I
can't
guess
just.
I'm just speaking as a single man.
Yeah, no. I get it. Listen, so all right, here's the thing. If I'm being all the way real, I go into things. I
And
go into.
one of my
I
questions though, Rich,
assume.
too, before you
Yeah,
get
go ahead.
into it, what if your chick came to you and said that? What if you were dating and she was like, you know what? I rock with you. I want to be with you, but this got to be a thing where if something happened, it happened.
All right, let me try to answer this in a real mature and like realistic way. Before I even get there, a couple things. I already work under the premise that everybody cheating.
Mm.
Um,
Is that why you not in a relationship right now?
no, not in the way of like it would steer me from being in a relationship. I just mean if you get deeper into it and you think of just human nature, like how unnatural it kind of is to be with one person for the rest of your life. Like, just I'm not talking about love or anything like that. I'm just talking about literal, just human desire and
Right.
human nature. That's all I'm talking about, right? It's just if you say it to someone, it sounds crazy. Now it's the love and the commitment and everything else that makes that happen. But nobody wants. I guess that's the best way to say it. Nobody. I think I would argue anyone if they said other. If anybody different, I would argue. Nobody wants to just be with one other person. They want options. And I think options doesn't mean that I'm going to do it. I just know that it's there and I can if I want to, right? Like a lot of people that I don't know anybody personally, or at least I don't know if I know anybody personally. But when I see things about open relationships, it's more so about like the option being there. If I am in a situation and I want to make a move or someone makes a moves on me and I'm interested, I don't have to carry that guilt about making a decision that's going to be for that moment or that night. And then go back to my regular life like nothing happened. Because if you were single and I'm just out kicking it at the bar and I'm vibing with Shorty and me and Shorty connect, we might never see each other again. It might just be one of them one-time things and that's it. Maybe we see each other multiple times. Who knows? Either way, the option is still there and I can still live my life and nobody's tripping on it. But the fact that I am committed, and I'm putting air quotes here, to this person and we're sharing lives, I can't do those things that I would normally do, right? It's no different, in my opinion, than, hey, if I'm single and I take a solo trip every single year, then you should probably expect that even though we're together, I want to take my solo trip every single year. It has nothing to do with the partner. It's everything to do with me and how I want to live my life. And that's where the struggle and the disconnect comes, in my opinion. I think when people come together, they lose their individuality, excuse me. And it's harder for them to find a way to make their lives come together versus making our lives all about each other. You get what I'm saying? So I can look at it on one side and I can look at somebody like Phil, shout out to my brother Phil, who will tell you all the benefits of marriage, the benefits of a black family, the beauty that he sees in his children, while also keeping it real about it's not easy. You have to put in the work. Phil is also somebody like John, shout out to John, who he met his wife and immediately sent out text messages. I just met my wife. You know what I'm saying? So similar to his story, like when he said, you know, Phil was the same way with his wife. So it makes sense because Phil is choosing every single day his wife, his family, and everything else. So it's easy for him.
This is my situation.
This is my situation, right? Loves his family, loves his wife, puts in the work. He always says, and we're gonna have Phil on because I want to have this conversation. It really spawned when you had mentioned, because we had a lot of feedback about you saying you were cool. Like, what's your best case scenario look like? And you was like, I don't need none of that. Like, people had some feedback. I want to have Phil on, but Phil will be the first one to tell you, like, there's only one way out of this. So I told my wife, there's only one way, the dirt. Ain't none of that other stuff. This is what we doing, right? That's his life that he chose. I also have another homeboy. Shout out my brother Barks, right? I gotta get back to you, Barks, man. I think you sent me a message, man. I'm backed up with messages and all that. Barks is listening. I know he is. Barks has been married. Barks has children. Barks is divorced. Barks tells us all the time, I'll never get married again. I might not ever have a girlfriend again. You get what I'm saying?
I feel
so.
Barks.
There's two sides to it. And Barks, I would love to have Barks on the show as well to talk about it. Because we even had a conversation recently about I I'm not gonna tell that story. I'm gonna let him tell it if he wants to. But we had a conversation that was interesting and insightful, and I think it will be a good topic. But I know people that live both sides, right? And I remember when Barks met his wife. I remember that. But also, we were young. He got married young. You know what I mean? Like a lot of things change, and there's a lot of different variables in relationships. Me personally,
Let,
go ahead.
you
I
go
was
ahead.
going to say the perfect thing that I can sum up and answer your question with is Hova Interlude, right? Volume 3. The UK version of Volume 3 had a song called Hova Interlude. All right, it's not on a lot of versions that came out here. There's a line in there that Jay-Z says that, ladies, I love you, but I love my freedom more. And I look at that line and I think that's me. That's my life. Like
that's me.
The idea of a relationship sounds great. The work that you have to put in to sustain it doesn't. Like, there's gonna be days because I am school. Shout out to school, man. School. We're gonna have school back on soon, man. He's almost at a year of sobriety, man. And
yeah, we
May.
got to do that.
I think May 2nd. We'll have him back for a check-in. School would tell me all the time, bro, like you too selfish to get married. Like he was just telling me straight up, like
that's why me and you relate.
Like, you always had the luxury of kind of just doing what you want to do with your time. Like the shit that it takes for a marriage to work, the stuff that you have to, I don't want to say put up with, but for lack of better terms, put up with. Like the things that you have to do when you absolutely don't, when you want to do anything else in the world than that shit, like you're not going to be good at that. Like, you're going to let it be known that I don't want to do that shit.
I'm not even I don't want to. I'm not doing it.
There's a give and take that comes with it, right? So I'm a big believer that everything, real quick, I just want to say this last part. I'm a big believer that everybody needs to make sure your relationship looks how you want it to look, not what you traditionally think it look, not like your parents, not like your cousin, not like your best friend. If you need an open relationship and y'all had that option and y'all both agree to do that, right? If you on some poly shit, do that. Like, as long as it makes sense to y'all, I think that's all that should matters. Hopefully people don't get caught up too much in the whole how will people look. And that's why I said I don't think she gives a fuck, but it sounds like I'm wrong. People need to stop letting other people in their shit to begin with and just live how they need to live and figure out what's cool and what's not, what's embarrassing, what's not. Like, these are the ground rules. Do what you want to. Did we just talk about damn, what the fuck was I just listening to when we were just talking about? Like, it's not about was it the Stephen Smith shit? I don't know. I could have sworn we had a conversation recently. It's not about the cheat. It's about the embarrassment. Maybe it was something on Sopranos we were talking about Good Earners, man. It's just like more so like, why are you out here embarrassing me?
We did just talk about that.
I can't remember what the topic was either way.
That was good. I agree with a lot what you're saying and understand a lot with what you're saying. Where it took my mind to was, let's say that I am in a relationship. Would I be more upset with my wife being able to tell her friends that she feels this way versus coming to me, her life partner, and telling her and her telling me like, hey, this is how I feel? That was the thing that I couldn't wrap my head around. And that was the thing was like, that made me say to what you said, like, I'm glad I'm single because I don't get good feedback from people in relationships, bro. And I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's the time that we living in. Like, there's no
unrealistic expectations.
There's no relationship, bro, that I have as to where people are telling me, man, I love my wife. I love my husband. Like, this is the best thing that ever happened. I never get that feedback. And I don't know if it's because when they talk to friends, they get to vent. And this is the person that I've been around, so I finally get to vent. So no, I don't hate them, but I do want to vent right now, which is human. I understand that. Or if it's that bad as I'm perceiving it as a single man. So to the point of what I originally asked,
you want it, man. That's it. Because your original thought, you're not bringing this to me. By the time you bring it to me, you've already got X amount of opinions on the matter. versus just coming to somebody and saying this is it's boring to be with the same. Like that's why people need time apart and they need breaks. Like you don't see your friends every single day. Nor should you want. I'm not saying should want to, but it just wouldn't be. At some point, you need that human space. Like, all right, I need to chill.
When
I
you
don't
with
want to
your
be up on it.
person, you see them every day.
Yeah.
And now it gets convoluted. And from how I heard my homegirl explaining this, and I was like, I was just trying to process this as a man.
Yeah.
She had the nigga in mind that she would sleep with if he was okay with it.
See?
And I don't know. And that's what I'm saying, Rich. Your reaction, you like saying, see, I don't know if I should be cool with that as her partner because she was open enough to come and tell me that, or if I should be offended because she thought that she could come and tell me that.
Nah,
and
I
that's
don't
what
think you can.
And
Go ahead, my bad.
And I think that's the main thing that I see as far as me, not just a relationship is I don't know how it will work for me because I would want to know that, and her being able to throw that at me as her person and deal with my reaction versus the fear of he may react this way or react that way. My ideal situation would be, tell me.
Yeah.
If you feeling that way, that's cool. Tell me. Don't tell your friends. Don't have that shit in the back of your mind and you acting funny. Don't do those things. Let me know you feeling that way because we're supposed to be each other's person. And I don't ever think that I'll find that, which is what makes me like, I don't look at relationships like, it don't seem realistic to me, especially after listening to her say that. You talking about a chick that's been married to a dude for 10 years and you telling a room full of, we're not strangers, but we are friends. We've been knowing you. However, it's more comfortable for you to tell us than to tell your fucking husband, a nigga that you spending finances with, you got a house and kids with. Like, how could you not tell him this?
I understandably so, because that's a terrible, not a terrible, but that's a difficult topic to bring up. But that goes back to my point. It's all about the foundation you set.
Though.
It's the foundation you set.
When we are, if I've made this commitment to you and we made vows, the difficult conversations, I'm the nigga that you have those with.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I will say this. Every nigga's taking an L in a relationship or marriage. An L that they never want to speak about, never want to think about. Some shit that they say they never do. I never tolerate this bullshit. It's happened to them and they still around. All right, it's not broadcast. You don't see it often. That's why that whole Steve Smith thing was interesting when dude, and I know obviously he was trying to embarrass Steve Smith, embarrass his wife. He tagged Steve Smith's sponsors. Obviously, Steve Smith is married, so I think he wanted to make sure his wife knew, but I'm sure his wife knew already. Like, this nigga's an NFL wide receiver for X amount of years, man. Like, he been cheating. But once again, I'm sure she was upset. Like, yo, why I gotta know about it? Why I gotta get embarrassed? Yeah, man, it's. I think there's a lack of real honesty when it comes to a lot of relationships.
Let me ask you this: if your girl came to you and said that, what would be your reaction?
Why? Like, what? Let me find out a little bit more why. And that's the thing, and that's another. That's, if I'm being real,
it wouldn't be okay. Cool. I'm gonna go fuck bitches too.
Nah, and that's the reason why, because I'm a I don't want to say hypocrite, but some things you just don't want to hear from your girl. I don't know if I'm emotional. I don't know if I'm mature enough to have that That's a very mature conversation to have, and have because your girl ain't your property, right? Like, if that's what happens, that's what happens.
You're right. You're like, I don't own you. If you want to have that conversation with me, I would feel honored if you came to me and told me, like, this is how I'm feeling. And you had your defenses are down enough, and your expectations of me as a man to not be emotional and to not be like, what the fuck are you talking? Like, not cuss
You
you out.
can't do
Like,
that. Yeah, because you can't do
yeah,
that.
like it I would respect my girl a lot more if she came to me and said that versus her hiding that and telling her friends about it. Because
Facts.
I know now that okay, you fuck with me. We're on the same page in the sense of like we want to build together or be together or whatever it may be. You're feeling this way and you ain't saying you acted on any of this. I think a lot of niggas get caught up in the emotion of, oh man, you're saying this, you probably fuck somebody else or whatever. Like no. If your girl is being vulnerable enough to come tell you this, that shows the amount of respect that she has for you versus her. I think a lot of niggas take that as a lack of respect.
No,
But I take it
I
totally
get what you're saying.
differently. I take it totally differently. Like if she come to you and say, like, bro, like we've been together 10 years, like I love you, I want to be together, like I love our family, but there's something else that I need. If she can come to me and tell me that, my mind blown. That's the
Yeah.
woman for me. Yeah.
That's a whole different level. That's like gold badge, highest level of the game you can get when it
Yeah.
comes to relationships, having that level of honesty. Because, and that's where I said it comes to the maturity. You can't, I don't know what this is. Maybe this is a conversation that needs to be studied. I don't know what it is with people, probably men more than women, that think their girl wouldn't cheat on them. And I don't want to say cheat. Let me correct that. I don't want to say cheat.
Yeah, not even cheap.
That their girl doesn't have any
I
thoughts or
have
desires to
desires.
be with someone
I have
else.
the exactly.
You
And
know
I
what I
think
mean?
niggas are it would be stupid for niggas to think that they girl don't have desires.
Because you have desires, right? It's a human thing. It ain't men,
Facts.
women. It's a human thing. Same way
I
niggas
want to
look.
hear
It's like,
Portia. We gotta bring this up to Portia.
yeah, we 100%, man. We got to bring this up to portion, man. But yeah, you can't ideally, and you can't. And you made a great point. You can't snap on your girl if she brings that to you, man, because then that's where the trust. You snap on your girl, you'll never hear any honest piece
And
of.
you shouldn't even again, shout out to my homegirl. I love her, had a great time with her, but it shouldn't be a situation where you as a man have created an environment where I feel more comfortable telling my friends about this more than I do you,
That's a fact.
someone who I've married, someone who I share life and finances and all these things with. Like
Yeah,
we should be able to have that conversation. And I think that's the most important thing for me. That's the reason I'm single. I ain't never met nobody that I could have those type of conversations with.
yeah, I agree. And lastly, before we move to our last topic, I just think for all of you who are single, that's probably something you should have a conversation with early in a relationship before, especially if you find someone that you think could be your partner, your wife, whatever the case is. Um, what does life look like when we 10 years from now? Like, because the hardest part I think is
Facts.
growing with someone. Growing with someone is difficult. Because you're not supposed to be the same people you were. The core should be there, the friendship. You should have a strong enough foundation. But hey, what happens is, or have the straight up honest conversation. Listen, even though we're together right now, I might love you more than anything. That don't mean if I don't know Kyla Pratt come through the room, but I ain't gonna try to bag her. Kyla Pratt came at me and try to give it to me. Like, what I look like? You know what I mean? That's a natural
Why
desire as
wouldn't I?
human.
Why
You know what I
wouldn't
mean?
I? But me and you are
And you
single though. We're single men. Like we would have
exactly.
to talk to Phil in the sense of like,
So
why
there could
wouldn't you?
be exactly because you can have people. I'll move it to TV. You can have people like the character of Ari Gold from Entourage, who infamously, as he said, "I love a liar, can't stand a cheater." Right? Never cheated on his wife. You know what I mean? When they were together, never cheated on his wife. That was one of his principles. That's one of his ground rules. You also have somebody like if you ever seen I Think I Love My Wife
Yes.
with Chris Rock, Steve Buscemi's
Yep.
character, right? He said it, man. I can cheat on my life. I can cheat on my wife every night and go home and sleep like a baby. Like that's just you know what I mean. It's they're different people and what they can tolerate. But mainly, I think the point was, as I said, depends on what your relationship looks like. There need to be real, honest
Facts.
ground rules, and your ego has to be put to the side, man. Fellas, ain't no way your woman ain't looked at another dude and said, "Oh shit, I'll take him down." It happens,
But
man.
we as niggas think that that's the case though. That's the
And
crazy thing
that's
about
probably the root of the problem. That's probably the root of the problem. Once you
it.
take your ego out of it and realize it, and I think it's just, nobody wants to be told what they can't do, especially when
Facts.
you're grown. So I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on. But lastly, just want to touch on this topic. This ain't gonna take that long. This kind of goes hand in hand, right? It's a two-parter. Perfect transition or segue. Holly Rowe,
Mm.
longtime reporter, journalist, working for ESPN. I want to get your thoughts on it, man. Just briefly, Spike. Holly Rowe was recently covering a USC women's basketball game. Obviously, shout out to Juju, man. Speedy recovery. Hated seeing Juju go
Man, I
down with
hope
that
she
torn
all right,
ACL.
bro.
We'll talk about Juju very soon. But Holly Rowe was talking about how Juju means so much to the culture. She's from LA, brings a lot of, she's an icon within the culture, right?
Facts.
Especially for women's basketball. Even if you don't watch women's basketball, Juju could be a reason that brought you into the game. Even though there's a ton of incredible players, Juju's just different, right? She a killer, cold with it.
Facts.
Broke Caitlin Clark's record for most points scored in the first 2 seasons. As Holly Rowe was reporting, doing one of those in-game reports, she mentioned Juju's popularity, what she means to the culture, and said, I came to a game last year and it looked like I was at the BET Awards. That's how many stars she brought from that culture. That culture. I want to say that, right? Holly Rowe said this. If you find the clip, she said it just like that. Didn't seem like there was any malice behind it. Now, we obviously know what's up. We know immediately when you hear something like that, there's going to be a crowd that has an issue. And man, oh man, they was on Holly Rowe ass. They was cooking her shit. Now, on her profile, I think on Twitter, it says she's anti-racist. I don't think there's some people that said Holly Rowe been saying slick shit for years. I'm not 100% sure. She seems innocent. She seems naive. I'm not here to cake for Holly Rowe. I'm not sure. When you hear the clip, what did you think of it? Did you take offense to it, Spike? Or was it just like, all right, whatever, man, shrug your shoulder, keep it moving?
There are some people that say she has been, like, if you check her track record and what she's done for, well, done for is wrong. Her stance or her voice towards African American athletes, there's no way you could get this confused in the sense of she was being racist. I think that she took a lot of liberty in saying or tying in the BET Awards and that culture to Juju.
Mm-hmm.
She, even though she's been an advocate for, hey, I don't I fuck with black people. Like, we know she's not she's not a MAGA person. We know that. Like,
Right. I
she's
believe she
closer to
has.
our side. Yeah, she's closer to the black side than anything else. And I think that she just got caught up in, I feel like I can talk this way because people know who I am. And with the internet culture today, it's like, I don't know who you are, so I'm going to point this out, which is the negative part of, oh, I got you. Oh, is this you moment that we've popularized in social media interaction nowadays. I don't think she meant any harm by it. I listened to it. I listened to it a couple times when you sent it to me, Rich.
Yeah.
I don't think she was being malicious, bro. Like, I don't think this was a thing where she was like those people. Like, it wasn't a those people moment.
It wasn't a those people moment. I was going to say while you were talking, from what I found and what I researched, it looks like her son is of mixed race. I'm not sure if
Mhm.
her, son's father is fully black. I don't know if it's another race, but he's definitely not your
White.
traditional white. I saw the outrage. I'm like, man, listen, there's way too many important things to be upset about than this. Like, I just didn't understand it. There is, like I said, as soon as you hear certain things, oh, that's going to be a problem for them. Whether it's about race, whether it's about something else. I'll never forget on the Stilo Brim podcast. If you remember a few years ago when Andrea, it was right after Tory Lanez making the Stallion shit, the shooting.
Mhm.
I don't want to say the shit, the shooting. And I say that for Phil. I remember when Drea, who's obviously got her own shit going on with the whole Jalen Green, but I remember what she said. She was making a joke about, I kind of like that. I like a rough house. Yeah, Drea Michelle.
Okay.
She made a joke, and I'm paraphrasing something about like, I like that. I like my man to be a little bit rough or something like that. And she was trying to be funny. And I remember Van Lathan was on the episode, and right when she said that, he said, "Oh, they're gonna cook your ass for that." Like sometimes you just hear things and oh, you about to hear about it. You about to hear about that. As soon as you said BET Awards, I knew that was going to be the case. And that comes from being too comfortable. Like you said, Spike, just a certain level of comfort. Once you're around something so long, you feel like you have the liberty to speak on that behalf, and you just don't. Right? You just don't. That's why I don't believe in the cookout shit. I hate that shit. I hate when people say they invited. Fuck that. No,
I'm not inviting anybody to the cookout, my nigga.
Yeah, if you ain't throwing the cookout, and there's only a few people that can throw the cookout for themselves, and us show up, you ain't invited to no cookout, right? Yeah. I always say it, man. Like some of the homies, I might have a key to their house, but I might have a key to their crib. But guess what? I'm still knocking and calling first.
Yeah.
Just because you got access somewhere doesn't mean you can just walk in whenever you want to.
Facts.
And that's just all that is, man. Holly just need to learn from that.
It's a great analogy.
Yeah, Holly just need to learn from that and hopefully not be so comfortable. You haven't earned that right. That's just not something you'll ever earn, no matter what you do and how much good. You can still do that without trying to take it all the way there. You know what I mean? Take it all the way there. Because that's gonna be taken a certain way. But it's nothing. Like I don't think she deserves any backlash or anything like that. Speaking of Juju, I want to highlight this last topic. All right. And this is going to be another conversation we can have at a later date. Actually, this will probably be something, again, for Portia to bring up. But I do want to bring it up because there was an internet clip, viral clip going around. Washington Commanders quarterback, Jaden Daniels, who will be entering his second season, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Incredible season. Led his team to the NFC Championship game as a rookie. He was sitting next to Juju Watkins at a tournament game. For women's tournament game, USC had just beat somebody, and they were at the game together. The cameras caught them laughing. People made jokes because if you ever seen Juju's demeanor, it is a very stoic face. She looks like her eyes are barely open. She's just kind of chilling, just a silent killer. She was laughing, eyes wide open, looked like a nice flirty moment. Obviously, speculation. Some people saying they're cousins. Some people saying they might be dating. There's no confirmation of anything. The whole point of the story is Jaden Daniels. It went from the clip of them sitting together to the next time they flash back. Jaden Daniels' mom, who was also his agent, was sitting in the middle of them. Juju seems
who has also said, I am going to protect him from gold diggers or whatever it may be in this realm and make sure he's right.
Yep. There was a documentary that came out, I think on Amazon, something like that. And she said, somebody asked, is there anything you're worried about? She said, them girls. There's a girl right now with Jaden Daniels wall, and her mama telling her you're going to get him one day and do whatever you can. It's no different than the conversation that Zeke had with Q in Love and Basketball, right?
Right.
The girl's going to sneak up to the hotel, and the boldest one, she's going to be the one at your door. Like, it's hard to keep these women away. And Jaden Daniels' mom pretty much said, I am keeping all these women away. Like, pretty much my son is going to be single forever. Not in that sense, but that's kind of the sense you're getting. And if you look at the clip, the way it's chopped up, it looks like, I'm getting in the middle of this. I ain't about to do none of that. And she has a very, stern face about it, too. Like, she has a no-nonsense, business face. And people took that, and there was a very interesting conversation about this being unhealthy, like the unhealthy relationship between, a lot of people talk about blacks. And I don't know if she's single or not. I don't know if she's single or not, so I don't want to speculate. But overall, single black moms, the way they treat their sons, almost as if they're their boyfriends or their man in their life. You know what I mean? More than just a son. There's also conversation about, hey, as a 21, 22, 23-year-old man, you have to reach a point in your life where you tell moms to ride out. I'm a grown man. I'm going to make my own decisions. You can't just get in the middle of this. I thought it was fascinating. As we wrap up this episode, Spike, what are your thoughts on the whole situation? Is his mom wrong? Because I've seen NFL players come out and say, nah, she was doing her job. And also, I guess a real interesting aspect of this, Spike, is I can understand wanting to keep your son away from gold diggers. That's Juju Watkins.
She got more money probably than Jaden right
You know what I
now.
mean? She's going to be okay.
Yeah, she probably got more money than him.
Does it matter? And obviously, we do know it matters who the woman is. But is there anything, as someone who grew up raised by a single mother, is there any validity to A, Ma, I got to reach a point where I tell you, nah, I'm doing what I want to do, and B, Mom saying, hey, I have every right to protect you from what I think is the best interest for your life, regardless of how old you are.
That's a really good question. The first thing I would like to address, I get where his mom comes from. I have a mom that's like that as well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's not in the sense of overbearing. It's just I want the best thing for this person that I raised. It was me and this person. It wasn't a dad around. I don't know. I don't think Jaden has brothers or sisters, right? He might be
I
an
haven't
only
seen
child.
anything about it.
Yeah, I ain't seen nothing about that. So there's a different type of connection that you have with your mom when you're her only child. Like she is super mama bear about that. I get that with Jaden's mom, but I think the thing that people leave out most in this specific situation with them is these two moms are friends. Like Juju mom and Jaden's mom are like cousins. Like
Okay.
they grew up they grew up with each other. They know each other. They fuck with each other. So I think a lot of her coming to sit in between them is blown out of proportion because that probably was her seat anyway. But that ain't got nothing to do with as far as the topic in which in what you asked me about. I do think that she has the right to look over her son in that way, especially if he grew up in a home with just him and her. I know what that's like. I know what it's like growing up in a home where it's just you and your moms, and she want to make sure that you have the best thing in front of you to be successful. Like not this is the same thing that everybody else do. You need to understand this because you ain't have a prominent male figure in your life. I ain't mad at his mom for having the perception that she has about everything. But like you said, this is Juju, bro. Like this is the prominent face of of women's basketball for the next 15, 20 years, in my estimation, because I think she's going to be that good.
Yeah.
At some point in time, you need to know, like, oh, this is what's good for him. I've
Mm-hmm.
heard her quotes in the sense of, I ain't letting these chicks get to him. Like, you ain't talking about a groupie right here. Like, you ain't talking about some chick that's trying to have a baby by Jaden and go and make a living off that. That ain't what you're talking about. You talking about a chick who's, I got my own game. I do what I
Mm-hmm.
do. Like,
Goals and aspirations to be the best.
right. So I think it was overblown in the situation, in, in the opinion that she sit between them because she thought something was going on.
Yeah.
I think that if it was presented to her like, oh, this is gonna be your son's baby mama, she would be cool with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think all the other stuff that was associated with her and her saying that about women is the things that made people react to this. If it
100%.
was just, yeah, if it was just art, like her mom is my homegirl, and I
Yeah.
know what she got going on, like, yeah, fuck it. Like, let this ride. She would do it.
If she was never on record saying that I'm keeping these girls away, nobody would have ever thought
Oh.
anything about it, anything like that. It's because she has that reputation with her. Um, all I really got to say about it is similar to what I said last week when it came to the Mr. Make It Happen. Why the fuck do people care so much? Right? You know what I mean? I know
Yeah.
it's an interesting topic and things, but just the way the reactions, if you go look it up on social media, just very interesting, to say the least. So once again, speedy recovery to Juju. I know that's a conversation that can be further had. Love to hear from maybe some women who have dated I don't want to call Jaden a mama's boy because I don't know if there's any indication of that, more so than just having a protective mother, mama bear. But if you have experienced a situation like that, hit us up. Let us know. There's one more thing I was going to say before we got out of here. I didn't want to talk about it in detail, but it was something that was interesting to me, and I cannot remember what it was. So I guess this is the perfect time to go ahead and wrap this up. Spike Lou.
Yeah,
that's about it, my brother.
Good.
Yeah, about an hour 40, man. We got a good episode in, man. It was just something I wanted to put a pin in for next week. And man, I'm upset now that I can't think of it. We was talking about sports, Juju. I was going to say, man, it's
Go ahead.
I was going to say it's interesting, man. It's fascinating because this has nothing to do with nothing. I think I look at the WNBA, and we grew up watching the NBA and all this stuff. It's been around for years. And WNBA, we were alive when that started. And it's funny because I look at all these stars like Candace Parker, and I remember Cynthia Cooper back in the day, Rebecca Lobo, Lisa Leslie, Cheryl Swoops, Tina Thompson. And then you go into a new generation, your Maya Moores, Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, your Aja Wilson's of today, all these cold-ass hoopers. And I'm thinking like, yo, this is like the Wilt Chamberlain era, Bill Russell era. They're still so early in this league. And I look at someone like Juju, like how the game is developing. I'm like, yo, that's like the Dr. J. Like there's still, and even 20 years from now, as we get older, there's going to be someone so cold that's like, yo, that's going to be the MJ and all this stuff is so young. It's just fascinating to see something at its birth and see how the game developed and where it is now. Women hoops is fun, man. The women's March Madness, if you're paying attention, that shit fun. So either way, has nothing to do with nothing. Spike Lee,
you don't know how much I hurt. You don't know how much hurt I am as far as Juju being hurt. Like that
I'm sick.
That ruined my weekend.
Sick. I learned to still send a text like, fuck, Juju tore ACL. Like even his text, he was upset. So we hate to see that, man. Hopefully speedy recovery. She gets back on track and accomplishes everything. Shout out to Juju. We ride with you. With that being said, Spike Lou, another great conversation. Always appreciate you, my brother. Looking forward to next week's conversation as we discuss friendships. Portia's going to come on. We're going to discuss friendships. We tease the friendship breakups. All of that's going to be wrapped into one, as well as some of the stuff that we discussed this week that we need Portia's opinions on. Trust us. As Portia said in the comments, she's always listening, and she's always going to let us know what she's thinking. With that being said, bookworms, we appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all next week for chapter 24. Don't forget, let's get better this week. Peace.
Yes.